Greetings and welcome to the Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the World Championships of Warhammer Balanced Data Slate for Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video if you found it useful and helpful. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, an affiliate link and discount code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But yes, look, now my video about balance changes out. The Balanced Data Slate, at least for the World Championships of Warhammer, has been ushered in. So as you can see, Games Workshop has released the World Championships of Warhammer Balance update for Kill Team. Someone mysteriously leaked it, and now it's officially released. So this is basically the work in progress Balanced Data Slate. It's not finalized, so there may be some more changes, but this is just valid for the World Championships of Warhammer. It's not valid outside of that for other match play events, but I suspect most people will use it. So let's get into it. So starting off with some Tomb World erratas. So first off, you have the teleport pad. So additional text is added to the end paragraph. Equipment terrain features cannot be set up within 2 inches of a teleport pad. Whenever an operative base is touching a teleport pad, if another operative is on that teleport pad, those operatives are treated as being within each other's control range. So effectively, it means you can't really block off with the teleport pad. It was very weird. You could do certain things with it, with basically like barricades and other equipment. Now you can't do that, and it's basically because of the weird angle and how big the teleport pad is. If someone's on there and then you touch the teleport pad with your base, that counts as being in control range. So basically means, yeah, you can't really hide on the teleport pad. You're going to be very vulnerable. I like this. This is a nice change. Then for the for Beta Decima, well, we've got some approved ops card pack changes. So for Martyrs, add additional text to say, note that this is only the first time each operative is incapacitated. So if an operative is incapacitated and set back up again, e.g. Hierotek Circle, then and subsequently incapacitated again, a second Martyr token cannot be gained as a result. Now, this is a good clarification, but generally actually only targets Hierotek Circle, because Canoptek Circle, when their warriors come back, they're brand new operatives, so they get around this. So yeah, I would have liked more TAC op clarifications, but that's probably what's going to be added in the full document. Then for Beta Decima, flip the board to the other side and change the drop zone so the map looks like as below. It's great. I love Beta Decima. It's so good. But Beta Decima is playable now. That's amazing. Now for the core book, we've had some erratas. So for the Vocus Large Ruin, add the following text to the end of the third bullet point. The door is accessible in heavy terrain. For the purposes of control range, ignore the door when determining visibility. This is so the door now functions the same way as strongholds. This is a good change, in my opinion, because it just stops the confusion where you go, these are stronghold doors. Those are just ruin doors, so they're completely different. Now they function the same way, which is good. We've also had some equipment erratas. So for ladders, ladders are insignificant and exposed terrain. Before the battle, you can set them up as follows, and then you change the second paragraph to read, once per action, whenever an operative is climbing the terrain feature the ladder is placed against, treat the vertical distance as 1 inches if the ladder is within the operative's control range during the entire climb. So this basically means if you could climb a wall and then see a ladder and then climb it part of the way up, you can't do that anymore. You have to have the ladder within your control range for the whole climb. Nice fix there. Then for the portable barricade, it's light protective and a portable terrain, except the feet, which are insignificant and exposed. So I guess tidying up some wording there. Then for smoke grenades, they've been nerfed. In addition, whenever an operative is shooting an enemy operative that's wholly within an area of smoke, weapons with the Piercing 2 or Piercing Crits 2 weapon rule have the Piercing 1 or Piercing Crits 1 weapon rule instead. Now, this actually doesn't make much sense, because if you're shooting someone who's obscured, you can't retain any crits. So the piercing crit stuff doesn't work, but if you ignore obscuring, then that's kind of good. But basically smokes are a lot worse. They don't stop piercing 1 anymore, and piercing 2 goes down to piercing 1. So smokes are still good, but they're no longer as amazing as they used to be, which I guess is a choice because they were kind of taken a lot of the time. Now we go on to Kill Team. So for the Angels of Death, the Space Marine Captain has had his Heroic Leader rule change. So once per turning point, you can do one of the following. Use a Firefight ploy for 0 CP. Use the Combat Doctrine strategy ploy when you activate a friendly Angels of Death operative. Is if operative is in the kill zone and isn't within the control range of enemy operatives, you pay its command point cost as normal. Note that you cannot do so if you've already used the ploy during the turning point. And then use the Adjust just Doctrine Firefight Ploy for 0 CP if this operative is in the kill zone and isn't within the control range of the enemy operatives. So the captain was already best leader choice. It's now the bestest leader choice for Angels of Death, so that's nice. Then we've had some chapter tactics buff. So Resolute is now, you can ignore the changes to the operative's APL stat and it isn't affected by shock, which is actually pretty nice. Then you've got Hardy, additional sentence added. So this is the crit saves, lethal 5-up crit saves. Whenever this operative is retaliating, the first time an attack dice inflicts 3 damage or more of normal damage during that sequence, it inflicts 1 less damage. So that's actually a nice combo with Hardy. So Hardy and Resolute got buffed and they were already great. Sharpshooter has been buffed as well. Its bolt weapons have the accurate 1 and severe weapon rules. So if you stay stationary or like dash, then you get accurate 1 and severe, which is all right. And then siege specialists, in addition, whenever this operative is fighting or retaliating, enemy operatives cannot assist. That's okay. I think obviously the three best chapter tactics got even better, but I'm still a fan of like Resolute and then as like your primary and then swapping stuff around. But Resolute and Hardy seem like a great option now. I really like how Hardy's only when retaliating. It makes your Marines even tougher. So these are some great buffs for Angels of Death. Blades of Khaine have seen some nerfs. So the Howling Banshees aspect, the Shriek that kills, has gone from 6 dice to 5. And then the Howling Banshee aspect technique Rains of Tears. After you strike with a critical success, if the enemy operative isn't incapacitated, you end that sequence and immediately perform a free fallback action of up to 3 inches, and then the fight action ends. That operative can do so, even perform an action that prevents it performing a full that prevents it from performing the fallback action. So effectively, you can't dash anymore. You can only fall back if you don't kill them. So it limits Banshee's mobility a bit. Then for Blooded, the Chieftain has been buffed. So lead with strength. Whenever this operative has one of your Blooded tokens or is within your opponent's territory, then you can use its effect to treat as Gaze of the Gods, which is really powerful. So you get more utility from the leader. And then the Enforcer has been, I think, buffed as well. Whenever friendly Blooded operative is activated within 6 inches of operative, you can ignore changes to its stats from being injured until the end of its activation, including weapon stats. So just some nice utility buffs for Blooded, which is pretty good. They're already a strong kill team, but they were kind of underperforming when this was written. Then for Brood Brothers, the only change they've seen is with the icon ward with the cult icon. It's now whenever determining control of a marker within 4 inches of this operative. So this basically means with 6 inches, you could on a lot of maps buff 2 objectives. Now you can only do 1. So it does reduce the range of the icon ward and means if you want that +1 APL for controlling objectives, you're going to have to play a bit more risky with the icon ward. You still take it with Brood Brothers, but now you're basically maybe getting no to only 1 objective cover unless you're being really risky. Canoptek Circle have seen a lot of changes. So for the Obelisk Node Matrix, add 1 to its APL stat to a maximum of 3. So the Geomancer can now no longer go to 4 APL, which is a bit of a nerf there. It does make like the Matrix Manipulator equipment a lot worse, and it's a shame they haven't buffed that equipment to like compensate because it's kind of dead now, but we'll see. Maybe they'll fix it when it comes to the future, like the final slate. And then for the Macrosite Reanimator, it can only use its healing action once per turning point. This was a good fix because you could potentially have the Reanimator heal up to 4 times. So I'm glad it's still 3d3, but once per turning point is fine. Then the Geomancer, its Tremorglaive Quake weapon has gone from 6 dice to 5 and 1 free damage to 1/2. That's okay. Like, it probably was a bit too spiky at 6 dice, but 5 dice 1/2 is fine. You're generally using this to stun, so it's still a great weapon. And then, oh, this is like my favorite part. The Dimensional Banishment weapon rule has been changed. If the result is higher than the target's remaining wounds, the target is incapacitated, taking precedence over rules that prevent incapacitation, including the Medic, Fellgor Ravager Frenzy, and your opponent cannot place a reanimation marker for Hierotek Circle if relevant. My gosh, like they took a lot away and then gave us the Shadow Realm gun plus. Like the Shadow Realm gun was already good. Now it's even amazing. Like Fellgor were a bit annoying because you couldn't banish them. Now I can banish 2 Fellgor a turn. Like get wrecked, you silly goats. Like, oh my gosh, this makes up for everything. And then we've got for the rules commentary. In a kill zone that uses the close quarters rule, is the Obelisk Node Matrix measured through wall terrain? No. So this is actually quite a nerf because most people were playing this as you can't move the node matrix through walls, but you can measure them through walls. So for example, if there was an open door and they were within 4 inches of each other, 2 obelisk node markers, and then the distance, as long as that distance measuring around and through the door was 6 inches, people were playing that as like, that could still work. Now you can't do that, which means you basically on Gallodark are playing your obelisk node matrix at like L shapes, like just severe right angles, which is a lot harder for them on like 2 mode on Gallodark. But it does require planning. It just means it's very difficult to like get 2 objectives with your matrix. You're probably only getting 1, which makes it harder to play, but it depends on the maps. Then we've got Deathwatch. So Deathwatch kind of got a nerf, but I feel like they did it just so they said they've done something to Deathwatch. But once again, this isn't the final balance data slate, so maybe more stuff will be added. So for the Demolisher, whenever this operative is fighting or retaliating, normal and critical damage of 3 or more inflicts 1 less damage on it, and it doesn't stack with the shield that slays ploy. So this is fine. Like, it does make the Demolisher a lot worse because the key thing you took it was like, oh, even if I hit on 4s when I'm charged, the most I'm like -2 damage because I'm always in your territory. So it does make the Demolisher worse, but it's very weird they chose to hit this aspect of the team. I'm completely shocked that special issue ammunition didn't get fixed for only bolt weapons. Like, at least that would have made sense. It's very confusing. Like, it seems like the devs want to die on that hill, which is actually going against the narrative. Like, special issue ammunition only works for bolt weapons, so why in kill team is it working on their plasmas? But anyway, it's a touch, but basically Deathwatch made out like bandits. They are maybe now tied for best. It's definitely between them and Canoptek. Then for Exaction Squad, they've had some buffs. So the Mallocator for the Veriskant action, that for any operative's weapons have the lethal 5 and severe weapon rules. So now when someone's shooting at someone you've marked, they get lethal 5 up and severe instead of just severe, or lethal 5 up if they already had severe. So very nice there. And then for special issue shells, you can use them up to twice per turning point. What kind of great genius would have foresworn that change? But otherwise, it's actually really good for Exaction. The Mallocator becomes more useful, and now special issue ammunition is more useful, especially into elites. Now you can use the piercing 1 ammunition twice per turning point. Very good there. Great changes for Exaction. Then for Fellgor Ravagers, they've seen some nerfs. So for Frenzy, it cannot perform the pickup marker action unique, excluding sweeping blows to the Vandal, or mission actions excluding operate hatch. So it basically means once your goats frenzy, they just become normal goats apart from the Vandal. That's really good and actually makes sense because they're too angry to do anything else. And then for Ironhorn, call the attack as a strategic gambit if this operative doesn't have one of your frenzy tokens. So once again, if he's frenzy, he's too angry to call the attack. I think there's some good changes. Fellgor were like doing really well in a niche kind of way, so it just does mean like once they're frenzied, they are just like beat sticks, so you can't do crazy stuff with them. So there's more counterplay for the opponent, which is nice to see. Gellerpox Infected have been nerfed because Orion was too good with them. So for Rust Emanations, whenever a friendly Gellerpox Infected Nightmare Hulk operative is fighting, your opponent cannot retain results of a free as successes. It's basically like delete this ploy. I don't understand why they did that. That wasn't an issue with the team. It now makes the team very bad. It's a shame. It's just really weird. And it feels like a targeted hit, which is unfair. I mean, I don't like how they've nerfed Gellerpox just because one player was having success with them. It feels very targeted and probably not how balance should be done. Goremongers have also seen some nerfs. For the Sanguivite Rake, it's been changed to when an operative perform a charge action during its activation, then you trigger the D3 damage. So some nice toning down there from Strategy Ploy Raking. And then Strategy Ploy's Gory Tenacity. Change the relevant part to say rounding up to a minimum of 2 damage. So now it no longer does a minimum of 1, minimum of 2. As I said, that really helps 2 free damage operatives, but it does trigger every time they fight still. Then for the Aspirant operative, once during each of its activations, when this operative ends the fight action, if it's no longer within control range of enemy operatives, you can use this rule. If you do, it can immediately perform a free charge action. So before, it would just continually generate charges after it killed people. Now it can only do it once, so that actually helps some counterplay into horde teams. And then for Inciter, incite the hunt, change the relevant part of this second paragraph change to read, whenever an operative inflicts damage on an enemy operative with either profile of its dual auto pistols but doesn't incapacitate it, then you generate a blood token or bleeding token, which is really good. Limits stuff on chipping, raking, so it does slow down their blood token generation, which is very nice, or blood tank generation. So the Inciter is still great, but it's no longer like, oh look, I've thrown a frag grenade, now everyone's bleeding, or I've raked, now you have like several bleeding tokens. This is a lot better. Goremongers are like kind of not doing well, but that's because of partly Deathwatch. But it's some nice toning down to make them less of a gatekeeping faction. Hand of the Archon, baby. Oh, yes, it's good to be Drukhari. For the stimulated senses, you can reroll any of your dice results of one result, e.g. results of 2, for both saves and shooting. Like it. Nice, nice, not a playtester. And then Denizens of the Night. If heavy or light terrain is intervening to buff that part, although you still really won't play Denizens of the Night, but it's nice they've buffed it. And then the Crimson Duelist has seen a side grade. You've changed the do a free fight action to this operative can perform 2 fight actions during its activation. So this is a side grade because now you need the 3rd APL to do a second fight action, but it's much better when you're doing door fights or hatchway fights because now you can just fight twice, burning a pain token obviously to go to free APL, but it's now worse when you don't have a pain token, charge in, you know, fight again, then burn your pain token. So you can't do charge, double fight, then burn a pain token to go to free APL and shoot. So I actually think this is a good change because the problem I was finding with the Crimson Duelist, especially when I'm doing like hatchway fights or door fights, I really wanted to do a second fight action, but I couldn't because the way that rule interacted didn't trigger with that. So this is actually a nice change overall, some great buffs. It's really, really calling me back to the hand. Then for Hearthkyn Salvagers, grudge tokens have been changed so they now stack with accurate, which makes your auto bolt weapons usable again. Nice change there. Then for wrought defense, whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Hearthkyn Salvager operative, if you rolled 1 or less successes, including any rerolls, you can retain one of your fails as a normal success instead of discarding it, so making you a bit better when you're shot, so that's pretty good. Then the Thain has been nerfed. It just has just a scratch, so once per battle, when someone inflicts normal damage on this operative, you can ignore that inflicted damage. So that goes down from ignoring a hit that's 4 more damage to just a scratch, which is fine. And now the Dozer, whenever normal damage of 4 more inflicts 1 less damage on it. So it's now just always got -1 damage, which is very good. And then the Kinlink, select one other friendly operative in the kill zone. So for the signal action, so you have to select someone who's actually alive. But overall, there's some nice buffs to Hearthkyn Salvager. Now their auto bolt weapons work. They're slightly better when shot at, and the Dozer is a bit better. Thane's a bit worse, but overall these are some nice buffs for Salvagers. Then for Hernkyn Yaegers, they've seen a buff. So for their resourceful tokens, the table has been changed to read, if they have 5 or more operatives, you get 2 resourceful tokens, and if they have 1 to 4, they have 1. And the second paragraph has been changed to read, or the second bullet point, whatever. You can spend 1 of your resourceful points during each of the friendly Hernkyn Yaegir activation to do one of the following. Before or after it's performed an action, if it's not within control range of any operative, you can use this rule if you do increase the APL stat by 1 until the end of its activations. So I think this is instead of using it at the start, which is really nice. So it means like you can charge, fight, and then if you kill someone, pop a resourceful token if you live. Nice there. And then when it's activated and not within control range of enemy operatives, it regains up to D3 plus 1 lost wounds. So overall, really nice changes there. Hierotek Circle has been deleted from the game. So the Magnify weapon rule has been updated. So if the target is visible to this operative and another friendly Hierotek Apprentice operative or someone else, and then for the purpose of telling a valid target for that, shoot actions, conditions, cover and obscured. Basically, you have to be visible for magnifying who you want to magnify to and the target, so that's fine. And then reanimation protocols. Oh my gosh. For the purposes of the kill op, your opponent treats your starting number of Hierotek Circle operatives as 5. In other words, their kill grade goes up whenever a friendly operative is incapacitated to a maximum kill grade 5. Reanimated operatives don't retroactively change any other VPs your opponent has scored, e.g. from TAC ops. It's weird, right? They're an 8 operative kill team, but they have kill op 5. Like, no one was asking for this. Everyone just wanted them to count for the kill op. It feels like the developers got sick of people asking them that, so just said, fine, you want them to count for the kill op? Well, they're kill grade 5. This kind of deletes the team from the game, because this is a team you can reliably run the kill op as primary into and max it, because you only have to kill 5 of them to go to kill grade 5. It's crazy. It's wild. This is too much. And then the Chronometron has been nerfed. Subtract 1 from the attack stat of an operative's weapons whenever it's shooting that selected operative. So it now doesn't work in melee. So some nice counterplay there. That was too powerful. And then for the Despotech, when using the interstitial command action, that selective operative can perform a 1 AP action for free, excluding the accelerate action. So just some nerfing with synergy there. And then for reanimated function, for the purposes of the Martyr's Tack Op, this ploy has no effect. So there was some weird interaction with reanimated function and martyrs, but overall, like, Hierotek Circle did need a nerf, but making them kill grade 5 is too much of a nerf. This kind of deletes them from the game. So there's still a powerful kill team, like the Chrono Master is still the best operative. Would have liked the Techno Master to go up to 3d3 heals, but otherwise, yeah, this is too much of a nerf. It's like, oh no, Jazz Party stops. Kasrkin have been buffed, so Seize the Initiative has been changed. Use this Firefight ploy at the start of the Firefight phase. One friendly Kasrkin operative can immediately perform a 1 AP action for free, but cannot move during the action. You cannot use this ploy if you're the player with initiative. So basically, you can do something cool like shoot if you're on engage, or do a mission action before dying. So some nice synergy there. Neutralize target. If the target shooting an operative that is either not in cover or being scanned, then you get your benefits, so it's much easier to use, which is very nice. Then for cover retreat, whenever you change it to whenever another friendly operative is within 6 of another friendly Kasrkin operative, that operative can immediately perform a free shoot action, and you can change its order to engage to do so. This is when you fall back. Really, you know, great minds think alike, you know. It's great in our playtester. A really good synergy with cover retreat. And then now, Relics of Cadia. I'm so sorry, Relics of Cadia. Whenever a friendly Kasrkin operative is shooting, fighting, or retaliating, if you roll 2 or more fails, you can change 1 to a success. So really nice in melee for them. So Kasrkin are a lot better. Unfortunately, Aquilons are still the better choice here, but Kasrkin really have some nice play. So great. Kommandos have seen some heavy buffs. So the Knob Big Chopper has gone from 4 attacks to 5, and the Punishing Weapon rule has been deleted. So it's now just 5 attacks, but still solid. And then the Boss Knob Operative, the Power Claw weapon, has had the Shock Weapon rule added. So it's got 4 dice still, but it's shock. So you still choose between, I mean, you're just always picking the big chopper. The big chopper is just better because it's 5 dice. It's much better. And then the Boss Knob, Crumpin' Time. This operative can perform 2 fight actions during its activation. Amazing. So you can just go like, I had enough of this. I'm just going to smash your face up. Really good. The Boss Knob is even better. And then the Dagger Boy, the short range profile has been changed to 9 inches instead of 6. So it's, if you delete those words in between, it's 69. So that's nice. And then for the collapsible stocks, you remove the range weapon rule from the following weapons except the Dagger short range. So you now have like infinite range pistols. So very cool there. I mean, I don't know if you still take to collapsible stocks, but the Dagger Boy is better and your Knob is more amazing. So they actually have more tools to punching into elites, especially the Knob. Now the Knob can double fight. You can just go charge, punch, punch. Very, very good there. Legionaries have unfortunately taken a nerf. So for mutability and change, this Firefight ploy has been changed to read until at the end of the operative's activation, add 1 to its APL stat, but it cannot perform the same action more than once during that activation. So you can't charge, fight, shoot, or any of that combination. The most you could do is charge, fight, shoot, mission action. Really, absolutely nerfs that ploy. It's very bad. Pause each. Like, you can't even reposition dash melter bolt pistol. Kind of deletes the synergy there. It feels like they just don't want APL4 existing in the game. Then for Nemesis Claw, they've also seen a nerf, unfortunately. Use this Firefight ploy when your opponent would activate an enemy operative that's visible to a friendly Nemesis Claw operative. Roll a 1d6. If the result is higher than the enemy operative's APL stat, your opponent cannot activate during that activation. If the result is less or equal to that enemy operative's APL stat, the ploy isn't used and the CP spent on is refunded, but you cannot use that ploy again during this turning point. That part feels rough. If there are no other enemy operatives eligible to be activated, this ploy has no effect. I think if it fails, you should be allowed to do it again like Vox team was very strong, but I felt the kill team was fine. They were slightly overperforming from like tournament performance, where like their win rate was okay. But I don't think Nemesis Claw needed that nerf. It feels a bit cruel. Like, at least the CP is refunded, but I think you should be allowed to attempt Vox Screen again in the turning point. Ratlings have seen some buffs. So for Scarpa, the last sentence has been deleted. So you can now just do your dashes consecutively. So you can just keep on dashing after activation, which is very powerful. The faction equipment purloined rations. So when you're shooting with a rifle and you've rolled your attack dice, you can use this rule if he hasn't used the lucky round equipment. If you do, improve the hit stat by 1 until the end of that sequence. So now, before you had to use it in advance, now you can use it after you've shot. So you can go, it's much more useful and usable. And then for the Raider and the Sneak, their suppressed sniper rifle has been increased from Devastating 2 to Devastating 1, which is very nice. The slingshot action has been changed. So select a point on a terrain feature. That point must be visible to and within 6 inches of this operative. Remove this operative from the kill zone and set it back wholly within 6 inches horizontally of that point and not within control range of enemy operative and visible to that point. So the weird part is the first part you have to be within 6. So this is including like horizontal distance, like a vertical distance. So you do have to like angle up, but then the 6-inch part you just place within 6. You ignore vertical distance. So that's fine. It's just a bit more usable. And then for the sneak optics action, enemy operatives cannot be obscured, and the stationary profile gains lethal 5 up. So it's a lot more useful. People were saying the sneak was kind of bad. Now the sneak is an auto include. So nice buffs to Rattling. Very, very powerful. Raveners have seen some nerfs. So for Synaptic Link, it's been changed to read for if you roll a dice and it's twice as high or higher than the turning point, you gain 1 CP. If it's less, then you inflict damage equal to the result, and any other result, nothing hard happens. So it's just a bit harder to generate command points, which makes sense. Ride out of sight is select one friendly Ravener operative in the kill zone because you're writhing out of sight, not writhe into sight. So it basically means you can't use it if you're underground, which is a big hurt to Ravener players who are playing Runaway. They now just can't freely hide everyone in the tunnel and then in the strategy phase pop up. So some nice nerfing there. And then tunnels have just been updated. So now it works on Tomb World or Gallow Dark. So it can tunnel through all walls. So just a bit of a nerf there, but probably enough to keep Raveners in a fair place. Sanctifiers, they've been spanked. Munitorum Sermon has been changed, so it now, if normal damage of 4 or crit damage of 4 more, inflicts 1 less damage, so to a minimum of 3. No longer means they're minimum of 2, so they are much more killy, like you're easier to kill them now, which is great. Rally the Flock has been changed to read. Each time that does so, they must end that move closer and visible to a friendly Orator operative. So when they do like the fallbacks and stuff, it's just a nerf on Gallow Dark, right? They have to be able to see whoever they're falling back from. So because he's calling them, right? So nerfing mainly on Gallow Dark and Tomb World. Then for the Ecclesiarchy Techs, it's been changed to roll 3d6 because the average on 3d6 is 10. So you need to roll 10 or below on 3d6, which is a nice change instead of just, I guess, like lowering the wounds of the Confessor. So the Confessor's still great. And then for the lead the procession, oh my gosh. If you do, determine each other friendly Sanctifier operative that's benefiting from the sermon and is visible to this operative or vice versa. So once again, this is nerfing on Gallow Dark and Tomb World, or operatives that just were like, I can hear you, bro. I'm running forward. So it means you have to be visible. So it just means you have to play a bit more honestly, which is fine. Then the Reliquant, the cult icon has been reduced from 6 inches to 4, mirroring the cult icon effect for Brood Brothers. The Drill Abbot has had all 3 distances reduced to 4 inches instead of 6. I thought it would be reduced to 3, but reducing on the range is nice regardless. And then Preachers have been kind of hit quite hard. Whenever this operative controls an objective marker, then they're benefiting from the sermon, so they no longer can just contest, which does stop some silly shenanigans they could do. And then for the conversion field rule, this feels the harshest. Whenever an operative is more than 6 inches from a shooting friendly operative, and it's within 6 inches of the Salvationist, you can improve their save stat by 1, but the piercing negation has been deleted. I think if you just reduce that to a 4-inch bubble, you could have kept the piercing 1. It feels strange you reduce the range on everything else and there's delete the piercing negation on the conversion field. I feel they just kind of didn't want Sanctifiers being too tough. But once again, as isn't a final balanced data slate, they may tweak it by reducing its range to 4 inches and then refunding the piercing negation. But otherwise, Sanctifiers are now a much more honest kill team. Scout squads have been buffed. So Ambush is now the new name of Gunfire and Blade Ambush. It's been changed, so whenever you're shooting or fighting during your activation, that's operatives' weapons have the balanced weapon rule, and if the target's expended, you have the ceaseless rule, so much more useful. Blade Ambush has been deleted because it's combined with Gunfire Ambush. Adaptable training has been added, and I can exclusively tell you that adaptable training allows you to change the order of up to D3 friendly scout squad operatives that are more than 6 inches from friendly operatives. So it's okay, just if you want loud last activation, well, last turning point. And then for stealth relocation, up to D3 friendly scout squad operatives that have a conceal order and are more than 6 of an enemy operatives can immediately perform a free dash action. And they've deleted the change order part that's now with adaptable training. So that feels a bit lame. Kind of like you've nerfed stealth relocation but made ambush better. And then for the sniper rifle, it's now heavy dash on stationary, so it's a bit more usable. So overall, this is like really nice synergy for Scout Squad. They're still very good, but I need to play out to see how it is. But overall, just some great buffs for Scout Squad. Void Dancer Troupe players, I'm so sorry. The hallucinogenic grenade has been changed from Seek to Seek Light. The lead player and player weapon, blade weapon, has been gone from 4.5 to 4.6, but Severe has been deleted. So I don't know why you'd run Kisses now. And then faction rules, Harlequin's Panoply. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Void Dancer Troupe operative and no attack dice are retained as critical successes, worsen the piercing rule by 1. Note that piercing 1 would therefore be ignored. So you no longer just ignore piercing. So piercing 2 is now a problem for this kill team. Pretty rough, especially if they retain any crits, then you just don't get any piercing negation at all. Very rough. And then for the Curtain Falls, it mirrors what's happened to the Howling Banshees. So after you strike with a critical success, if the enemy operative isn't incapacitated, then you can fall back up to 3 inches and end that fight. So you can no longer do the dash part, so it just limits their mobility. And then a weird question here. Does the once per turning point in the player operative's Luck of the Laughing God rule mean I can only use this rule once during each turning point, no matter how many operatives have that rule? Yes. So if anyone was cheating, you can't. But yeah, some big nerfs of Void Dancer Troupe. I didn't think they would go this far. Once again, feels too severe. Warpcoven have also been kneecapped, so they've gone down to a 5 operative kill team. They've received the legendary -1 operative, and then they've changed the following paragraph. You must select at least 1 friendly sorcerer operative, and then other than warrior operatives, your kill team can include each operative on this list only once. But as a result, all sorcerers are now 15 wounds. So you've lost an operative. You can't select double gunners. It's rough. You now can't even select 2 more Zagor. It's a big nerf to this kill team. I guess the devs were like, oh, we're sick of Warpcoven and Hierotek. We're just going to kneecap them both. Once again, very strange. It's pretty bad for Warpcoven players. Then Wrecka Krew, Tanked Up has been changed. The first time a friendly Wrecka Krew operative, excluding Bombsquig, that has an engage or performs either the charge, shoot, or fight action, excluding guard, during each of its activations or counteractions, add 1 to its APL stat. This is amazing. Great minds, I'm not a playtester. But now also during your counteractions. So if you get a shoot action, you can now go free APL until you next activate. It's very good. Very, very good. And then you have extra armor. This has been changed. Subtract 1 from the move stat of friendly operatives, but improve their save stat by 1 unless they're a bomb squig. But it isn't cumulative with the protective rule from the portable barricade equipment. So I think this is just a side change. It doesn't make extra armor better. You actually took extra armor for the +1 wounded to like power weapon teams, so like Blades of Khaine. So it means they couldn't kill you in 2 crits, so you had more survivability. Like, you already were pretty good at surviving shooting with a 4-up save and a reroll. I would actually prefer if extra armor either didn't give you the reduced move stat or gave you +1 wound and +1 save at the cost of -1 move. Then I think it would be a great pick. At the moment, I wouldn't really take it. But otherwise, my gosh, Wrecka Krew stonks are up. So for the balanced data slate overview for the World Championships of Warhammer, remember this is only for the World Championships of Warhammer. The final one hasn't been done yet, still being translated. It's very interesting, right? Deathwatch are one of the biggest winners out of this balanced data slate because they didn't really get nerfed. The hammer guy got nerfed, but it's fine. The rest of they can still do a lot of crazy stuff. Canoptek got nerfed quite heavily, but they did need those nerfs. The only thing is the Shadow Realm gun is amazing. It Shadow Realms everything. I'm going to put you in my Shadow Realm box. You know, Mind Crush everyone. It's great. But the great thing is we've seen a lot of buffs. I do not agree with the Hierotek Circle and Warpcoven nerfs. Like, I think with Warpcoven, you could just give them back +1 operative, but it's difficult, right? Because making them a 5 operative kill team, really tough. Like, unless you take Zangors, feels unfair. I think they could go up to 6 and then you could tweak it around, like especially with not being able to duplicate gunners and stuff, or like say you can only have 5 rubrics, something like that, like 5 Space Marine operatives. Then Hierotek, just make them kill grade 8. Like, I don't know why the kill grade 5 thing. Kill grade 5 feels way too harsh. It just deletes Hierotek from the game. Because when you're a kill grade 5 team with 8 operatives and like nothing's expendable, your opponent will just farm you for kills and win on the kill up. It's too much of a change. Like, you know, they should have gone to kill grade 8 like they normally are and buff the healing on the Technomancer. But overall, like, Ratlings got some crazy buffs. Hearthkyn Salvager saw some good buffs. Wrecka Krew, oh my gosh, if I had more time I would be playing Wrecka Krew right now. They're so good. Scout Squad got buffed. Beta Decimus playable. The teleport pad got nerfed so it's less abusive. You know, large ruin doors and Vocus work like stronghold doors, so it's a more tidying up, especially with ladders. Smoke grenades got nerfed. Angel's Death got buffed. Blooded got buffed. Like, this is really good. Exaction Squad got buffed. You know, there's a lot of great changes in here that should shake up the meta in a good way. Now, unfortunately, I still think Deathwatch and Canoptek are now probably tied for best factions in the game still. Canoptek are still just very powerful and Deathwatch basically got untouched. So in my opinion, like, as a Canoptek player, I fear Deathwatch the most, and Deathwatch are very good at the moment. Like, Wrecka Krew may be up there in 3rd, but we'll see. Wrecka Krew do have a harder time on their attack ups because they are not as durable, but they're so much fun now. I am really hyped going into the World Championships with Warhammer. You know, it does only give us, what, like 3 weeks to play around with this, but this is great. Remember, this isn't final for the this isn't in final for everywhere else. The balanced data slate is still seeing some translations and stuff, so we could see some changes. So hopefully they, you know, go back a bit on like some nerfs to Hierotek, because I don't think we'll see any Hierotek or Warpcoven at Worlds. You know, that's a bit rough. And, you know, they could probably do stuff like for Nemesis Claw, if Vox Screen fails, you can use it again in the turning point while you get the CP refunded, because at the moment the Vox Screen nerf is too lame. But overall, I'm happy with where they've gone. Like, oh, I could even go back to playing Hand of the Archon. Like, I converted off a Hand of the Archon team, so I can now finish that because, like, they're way more playable. I want to test out that. It's so cool. I'm really hyped for where the game is at the moment. And yeah, this is great, especially as, once again, it's works in progress, so it could change. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. I'm sick, that's why you can't see me. Please let me know what you thought of the balanced data slate for the World Championships of Warhammer. What do you think of it? And do you like it as much as me, not a playtester? But remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, and a affiliate link at my games, a affiliate link at Discord code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'm just going to quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adds of the crew, I have Vadim, Alexis, Alex, Marshall, the Houston Toad, Dan, Amorphium, Draken, Fangzu, Lucas, Chris, Graham, Tom, Mr. Meatwad, Dad of Goldens, Nix, Super Cow, and then for my veterans of the crew, I have Ramus and Rolling Zero. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me to help support the channel. But yeah, I'm sick and I am hyped. I'm painting stuff. And I've just edited this video, so I'm resting up right now. It's like I'm just like, damn, you know, it's just the Shadow Realm is so powerful right now, you know. Yugi, it's just wild. Like, I still feel like it's just really bad for Hierotek and Warpcoven players. Like, we want nerfs, but not when factions just deleted from the game. But you could argue that these factions were dominating the game for like 12 months, so maybe the devs were just sick of them, but it's not really the right way, and I'm not a fan of the Gellerpox nerfs. It just feels very targeted because one player was having great success with them consistently. Doesn't feel great, but otherwise, really happy with the changes. Like, it's great seeing more buffs. I'm disappointed Farstalker Kimbon didn't get any buffs, but you know, they're too balanced, like, as well as Vespid. The Tau auxiliary races are too fair. But remember, no matter what happens with the World Championships of Warhammer Balanced Dataslate, you always have a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.